on this page, I'm going to go through 17 and 19. The instructions are pretty much the same as they were for word problems involving equations. It does have the reminder that it's an inequality. You and your family went to rent a limousine for your graduation party. The limousine cost $650 for the evening and at $1.30 per mile. If you want to spend at most $700, how many miles can you travel in the limousine? Round your answer to the nearest mile. All right, so how many miles can you travel? So let's have that be our variable. X equals the number of miles. Next, we need an inequality. So there is limousine costs $650 for the evening. There's a cost $1.30 per mile and spend at most $700. So there's a flat fee is what we sometimes call this of $650 plus a 1.3 times X costs depending on how many miles you go. So you go 2 miles, you're going to pay $2.60 plus the flat fee. That's a one-time fee. Spend at most. So we want to not spend $701. So we're going to need an inequality sign that kind of looks like this. But at most, the other question to ask ourselves is, can we spend exactly $700? And in fact, we can. So we want to choose the less than or equal to inequality. And there's our inequality, and we're going to solve this. The other catch to this is, first of all, we're going to need to decide which inequality to use, which will make these a little bit trickier. And we will need to interpret our answer, and I'll explain what that means as we go through this. 1.3. And I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 10 maybe. And then I'm going to simplify this. And when it says round your answer to the nearest mile, it doesn't mean our answer here. We're going to write this, and this came out to be 38 and 6/13. Feel free to use a calculator to speed that up, but I still haven't rounded this, and this decimal is kind of weird, so a fraction is better. And we talked about previously how an improper fraction is great, but this is a time when a mixed is more helpful. Okay, so it now tells me that we're going to round our answer to the nearest mile, meaning that we need to pick an answer, and I guess this limo company only charges us or lets us go whole number miles. So we need a number that is less than or equal to 38 and 6/13. 38 and 5/13 would in theory work, but we're looking for the nearest mile without a fractional mile. And so we're going to say, therefore, my family and I can travel at most 38 miles. That's the other thing, is you have to kind of describe this and pick a word such as at most or no more than 38 miles, because 38 would work, but also 37 is fair, and you just would spend a little less money because you wouldn't be going as far. And so it's not just that the answer is 38, but 38 or anything smaller than that, that is a valid whole number mile if that's how they are charging. So interpreting the answer, we can't just take this and write it in the sentence. That's a little bit trickier. We'll look at another one. Feel free to pause or rewind that. And we're going to look at consecutive integers. The sum of 3 consecutive integers is less than 739. Find 3 integers with the greatest sum. So consecutive integers would be like 31, 32, 33. All right, I just randomly picked those. So that would mean that x equals the first integer. The next integer is x plus 1 to 1 higher. And the third integer would be x plus, well, if I want to get from 31, which was my first, all the way to 33, I would have to add 2. Now, with these problems, you might be able to guess and check what this is, but we're still going to build our inequality and solve it. Okay, sum, meaning we're going to add this. So we have x plus 1 plus x plus 2 is less than, so we'll just write that as stated. And you don't have to use parentheses on the left, but I do like to show that I personally like them, but totally optional. I can see my three integers. Now we're going to add them up. X plus x plus x is 3x. 1 plus 2 is 3. And even if you've got it from here, you might want to watch as we interpret our answer on this one. Three goes into 7 2 times with 1 left over. 3 goes into 13 4 times with 1 left over. And 3 goes into 16 5 times with 1 left over. Kind of helps me divide that out by hand. Okay. So this kind of looks weird. That's not an integer, but that's okay. And what we need to do, and once we have some answers, we can check how we got this. We want to find three integers with the greatest sum. So I want to pick the largest integer that satisfies this inequality. The largest integer that satisfies this would be 246 wouldn't work, 245. So 245 would work for x, which would make x plus 1 246 and x plus 2 247. So we would need to pick the numbers that satisfy this. Okay, we'll write our sentence. Therefore, 245, 246, and 247 are the three integers. Kind of a side note, feel free to pause the video, but unpause it once you're ready. Let's suppose this were consecutive even. Consecutive even, by the way, just as a kind of a refresher, was x plus 2, and x plus 4. And consecutive odd is actually the same. So odd numbers would be 33, 31, 33, and 35. Such that even though it's odd, you would add 2 and 4, because to get from 31 to 33 or 31 to 35, you would need to either add 2 or 4. So that's a kind of an interesting side note. Another one is, what happens if we got this answer and let's say it was even? What is the largest even number that satisfies this inequality? Think about it before you might even pause this for a second. What is the largest even number if this was the problem? Kind of just making up some problems here that satisfies this inequality. Maybe you thought of it would be 244. It's kind of weird, right? The largest even integer that would satisfy this, if this is what we got on this problem, would be 244. Okay, so that's word problems, a little bit trickier to interpret the answer. And I would encourage that you check this, that 245 plus 246 plus 247 added together should be and is less than 739.